Do some speaking. There's a lot of opportunity there. Great way, easy way to create content too. Thanks, Lakeisha. All right, so let's think it through. Now, with all those statistics, what does that mean for you? I want you to think about all of the content avenues or distribution methods that you put in the chat earlier. Some of you are doing social media. One was mentioned websites. I mean, what's happening on websites? How are customers or prospects becoming aware of what you're doing on those websites, and then you having a conversation with them through the website? So think through why it's so important to have a content marketing strategy and a system for deploying your content marketing. So let's talk about who now. Let's talk about who. Here's a question for you. Who is your best customer? And I mean, if you want, you can put it in the chat, but I really want you to think about it. Who is your best customer? Just think about that for a moment. Who is your best customer or ideal client or customer? Not a person who is able to pay for my products. Of course, they can pay for your product or service if they're your best customer, but think about who they are. Where do they spend time? What's the big problem that they have? How do you help them solve that problem? What goals are they trying to accomplish? How do you help them to reach those goals? Now, when we think about their problems and the goals that they have and the solutions that you extend to them, how can you break that into different content pieces so that they can see that you are the expert that they need to solve that problem or to accomplish that goal? So let's think about that. Your ideal customer, your best customer, what is their problem, or what is the goal that they're trying to accomplish, and how do you help them to do that? So if you're taking notes, keep that in mind. So now let's talk about the what. Let's talk about the what. We know why creating content is important. The statistics show that we can win if we speak to our audience in a way that shows that we are the service provider or we have the products that can help them. The who is the ideal client. Who buys from you? Who suffers from the problem that you know how to solve? Where do they live? What are they interested in? What do they buy? Where do they look for the solutions that you have to offer? So now let's talk about the what. Again, the goals, the problems, and the solution that you have. Because when we can identify the problems that our customer has or our prospect has, we can get in front of them with our message. We can get in front of them. We can go to the places where they are. Earlier, many of you mentioned social media is the type of content that I'm publishing. So if that's the case, how well is that working for you? So when it comes to where you put your content, think about where your audience is hanging out. For example, if you know that your ideal client, your best customer, spends time learning at events like this, then maybe speaking to them at events like this might be a great place for you to reach out to them. So, you know, we can't make a blanket statement and say, you need to do social media. Well, what type of social media? I mean, let's say, for example, if I were a personal trainer, I would probably be on Facebook, Instagram, and maybe TikTok. I mean, TikTok is not my thing, but think about it. Where is your audience? So that's the what. Now we want to talk about, or we want to do our first exercise. Beth and Andy, I sent you an email at the last minute, right when Beth was doing the introduction. I actually might have it here. Let me see yes, I have it. So I'm going to put a link into the chat for everyone to access. And for those of you that are joining, Beth and Andy, as people join, I don't think that they'll be able to see the link. So if you can add it again when you see someone join so that they can access this worksheet, that would be great. So if you use Google Docs and you're able to access this, please click on it, open it, and make a copy of it so that you can work along. As I mentioned, this is a mini workshop. We're going to be doing some work. So our first exercise is this. Now, if you cannot access this document, don't worry. We'll email it to you after the presentation. And if you watch the recording, you can use it then. But for now, if you can't access it, please just take some notes on your own, and we'll highlight some of the things that that's mentioned in this exercise. So problem-solving content, let's start there. When it comes to creating a powerful content marketing strategy, we need to understand who's aware of the problem that they have. A lot of times folks may not be aware, and so you have to help them with that awareness. Then when you know that your prospect is aware of the problem or the goal that they're trying to accomplish, you demonstrate that solution. So here's what I want you to write down. What is the problem that your prospect has that you can help them solve? What is the problem that your prospect has? Now, keep this in mind as well. For paying customers that you have, maybe there's another level of service that you can take them to. So they're included in this as well, in this problem awareness, okay? So keep that in mind. Your prospects who have not bought from you yet, as well as your current customers who might be able to buy another product or service from you. So write that down. What's 1, 2, or 3 of the problems that your prospects have, including your current customers? I'll give you a moment.
For those of us just joining, there's a link in the chat for the form that Will has provided to walk us through this exercise.
I'll add it again. Thanks. Oh, you did add it. Thanks, Beth. And if anyone is brave enough to share, please feel free to put in the chat, what is the problem you solve for your customers, or what is the goal you help them to achieve? Feel free to type it in the chat if you're brave enough. No stress though. So let's move on to the next part of this exercise. You'll see there in the workbook, or if you can't access it, here's the question. The way I demonstrate this solution is by, how do you demonstrate the solution to the problem? How do you demonstrate the solution to the problem? And feel free, if you want to, if you're brave and you want to type it into the chat for a little interaction, that would be great too. Some of your customers might be right in this room. Somebody might see your message and be like, yeah, I need that. I need to talk to Nicole or Victoria or someone. Now, the next part is, I can share the solution that I have in the following types of content. So you have the problem or goal. You know how you demonstrate the solution to that problem or help them to solve that, achieve that goal. Now, what different types of content can you package that in so that you can deliver it to your prospect and even your current customers? Thank you, Connie. Awesome. Help my clients organize their homes. See, Lakeisha, you might get some customers right here. Brandy, thank you. Care for their skin without exposure to toxins and chemicals and without adding more plastic to the environment. Awesome. So that's beautiful, Brandy. Thank you. So if I care about the environment, likely I care about my body. So your product is helping with multiple problems. Inspire folks to shop and cook with confidence for themselves and their family. Thank you so much, Alexander. So we'll move on. Thank you for participating in that exercise. Again, if you cannot access the Google Doc that we put into the chat, please know that we can email it to you after this presentation, okay? So until then, take some good notes on your own. So let me stop here for a moment because I want to see some faces. Oh, all right, I got enough faces. Is this helpful so far? You can go ahead and unmute and it. I'd like to, since we completed our first exercise, I want to see if anyone has any questions either about the exercise or about how to reach your customers and prospects. Any questions at all?
I don't actually have a question. I just have a comment. As far as it being helpful, it's very helpful in terms of determining who my customers and my ideal clients are, and to identify what their problems or what their goals may be, where I can hone in on that. And so I think that's where I have been kind of going wrong with my marketing strategy. And so that was very enlightening to me. So thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Lakeisha. Any other questions or thoughts? Thank you for that comment. That is very helpful. That keeps me energized, Lakeisha. So I appreciate that. Okay, all right, we'll move on. Beth, if you'll help me, I'm going to share my screen. Let me know what you see. Do you see when? Okay,
Yep.
Great. Thank you, Beth. So now let's talk about when to share this great content. We know who our ideal prospect is and our customer. We know what their problem is, and we have the solution for them, and we want to deliver that to them. We know what they need, as I mentioned. So now let's talk about when. When do we deliver it? When do we deliver this? So your prospects and your customers, they take a journey with you. And it's a journey that in our organization, we call the customer value journey. And that journey looks sort of like this. Keep this in mind. Let's see. So right here at the bottom, you see where it says awareness. So all of us, even you, when you buy a product or service, we all go through this. All of our prospects and customers go through this. So there's that awareness stage that we highlighted. Then they'll engage with you in some kind of way. They'll subscribe and say, you know what, your company, your service is something that I'd like to learn more about. And then they convert. They might buy a small item as an entryway product from you. Then there's the excite stage. And we'll talk more about this in a little bit, but I just want to go through these stages. Then they ascend. Remember I mentioned earlier, your current customers, there might be an opportunity for you to help them even further with an additional product or service. So don't ignore them. They are still, in a way, prospects if you have additional services and products for them. And then there's the advocate stage where these individuals, they just love you to death. They love your company. And then we want to move advocates on to the promote stage where they are shouting from the rooftops how great our product or service is. Okay, so this is the customer value journey. You go through it, I go through it. Think about products that you buy or a service that you bought. At what point do you stop? At what point are your prospects and customers stopping? And how can you get them to the next stage? So let's look at an example. Let's look at an example of the customer value journey. Let's call on Brian Backcracker. He's our local chiropractor. I don't know if any of you like chiropractic services or you're scared of it. I like chiropractors. I think they do a beautiful thing. So let's walk through the journey, the customer value journey, okay? Brian Backcracker. The awareness stage, a person, let's say you have a lower back problem. So what do you do? You know what, let me ask you this. What do you do nowadays when you have a problem? I'd like to hear from you. Either put it in the chat or unmute and let's have a discussion about it. When you want to learn something, what do you do?
Google it.
Google.
Beth, you Google it. Connie, you Google it. Who else? Go online. All right, Miriam, thank you. Anything else that you do aside from go online, web search, Google, ask a friend. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? It's really interesting. Do you remember when we did not have Google? Now we don't need anybody. We just either on our phone, we search low back pain remedy. Talk to Beth in the Berkeley Chamber. Thanks, Jonathan. Actually, that is a great connection, isn't it? To have Beth in the chamber being a great support and a resource. Exactly. Card catalog, encyclopedias. Seriously, Lakeisha, you do that for real right now? All right, I'm gonna leave you alone. But if you do that, that's awesome. That is before. Okay, good. All right, so let's go back to our journey. Beth, okay, can you see my screen? Back to the CBJ example. Great. So low back pain remedy. You type that into your search engine, and you come up with all these results. Now, for me, one of the things that I try to do when I do a search, I will bypass all the big companies. I want to find who are the small businesses that I can reach out to and help see if some of them can help me solve my problem. Because I know big companies, they're gonna rule the search engines and all that. But I might even throw in the local search, say Emeryville or Berkeley or whatever, so that I can get a small business that I can patronize. All right, so now awareness, you go search low back pain remedy. You come up with solutions or search results. Engage. So let's say we're the prospect. We have this low back pain. We find some interesting content. That might be an article that has 7 steps to improving your low back pain. Here's how to do it at home. There may be a video that demonstrates how to improve that low back pain, or a quiz. Hey, so take this quiz to see if you might have chronic low back pain. So these are all ideas that might fit into your content marketing strategy. So let's go on to the subscribe stage. So the prospect, that's me, you and me, we trade our contact information, our name, email, maybe phone number for some valuable information. And I'm talking about maybe when we go back to engage, we find the article, we read it, we see a video, we watch it, and we're like, I like this company, I want more. And we subscribe to their either newsletter, or we might even sign up for a consultation. Okay, so that's the subscribe stage. Then on our journey with our low back pain, we found Brian Backcracker. Prospect, we become a customer with a small purchase. Maybe they have a strengthen your core. Maybe in that article, they said, you know what? Low back pain might come from a weak core, meaning stomach and abdominal and oblique muscles, the midsection area. That might be, I'm saying this because I know that's the cause of my low back problem. So I'm an easy customer right here. So this is the process. This is the customer journey. Now let's go to the excite stage. That's where you give your customer an aha moment. They're like, this is exactly what I needed. So step back to convert. Maybe I buy that little course that's to strengthen your core in 3 days. I do 1 or 2 exercises, and you know what? My back pain is gone. This is exactly what I needed. Now I'm saying all this to say, please consider how you can develop content using this thought pattern. We all go through it. We might not think about it this way, but when we make a purchase and when we develop a relationship with a service provider, these are the steps that are taking place. Does that make sense? Okay, so now ascend. The customer buys maybe the main product. Let's say Brian Backcracker offers me a series of 3 appointments. And maybe he has some little, I don't know, a back roller or some little tools that my wife might be able to help me use to improve my low back pain. And the next thing you know, I am a customer of Brian Backcracker. So these are the stages that I want to talk to you, that I wanted to mention to you. We won't go to the other 2 stages, but these stages will get you on a good path with your content development, your content publication and distribution, and your content strategy. So we have our second exercise. Let's see. We talked about the customer value journey. So now what we want to keep in mind is At every stage of the customer value journey, different content can be developed for that very specific stage. So stick with me. Awareness. If I'm aware, if I found you on social media, Kitchen on Fire, Alexander, right? If I found Alexander on social media and I'm like, oh yeah, I'd like to learn that recipe. I became aware of you on call it Instagram. I imagine Kitchen on Fire has Instagram. And then I click on that link and I read that article and I'm engaged. And I say, you know what? I want more information like this. So I subscribe to Kitchen on Fire. They send me a weekly newsletter, hopefully, or some type of newsletter, a regular newsletter, some kind of content that keeps me on that same journey. And then maybe they say, you know what? Buy some of these spices that are highlighted in that recipe. You go to the store and get all the ingredients, but kick this spice in there and it'll be even more awesome for you. Okay, so now and then I buy the spice, I use the spice, I'm converted now because I bought the spice. I'm a customer of Kitchen on Fire. I use the spice, I'm excited, oh my goodness, this has some stuff in it I have never tasted in my life. It's an amazing spice and made this dish absolutely terrific. So then you know what? I might say, man, I love these Kitchen on Fire folks. I'm going to run down to Berkeley on Shattuck and I'm going to take one of these classes. You follow me? That's the customer value journey. How can you create this for your customers? So here's our second exercise. Let's talk about this. The second exercise, let me pull it up on my phone, is the content your customers need during their journey. So in the awareness stage, you wouldn't go and offer them, Brian Backcracker is not going to go offer a person who just became aware of his services a series of chiropractic appointments or services. That wouldn't be the best way to do it. The best way to do it would help them solve a problem, get a small win, and get them started on that customer value journey. So in your exercise, I want you to write down, what type of content does your prospect need at the awareness stage? Maybe you say they need to learn about my solutions in an article or video. And then the engagement stage, maybe you do something to get them to, maybe you can start a conversation on that video that you created or that social media post that you created. That's engagement. And then you say, you know what, if you like more information like this, come on over to my website where you can get updates like this every other week or so, whatever your process is for distributing content. So in this exercise, write down the types of content that you can develop in the awareness stage, the engage stage, the subscribe stage, convert, excite, ascend. Now, and if you have any questions about what we just discussed, please feel free, put it in the chat or unmute and let me know what questions you have. I hope you have questions on this stage. I mean, on this exercise. This is important. This is important.
We're probably thinking too much.
The reason I want you to have questions is because I don't want you to become overwhelmed thinking that you have to do all of this at one time. That is not the point. The point is to give you an idea of where your customers may be in your sales cycle so that you can speak to them in the right way at the right time. That's the whole point of this. You might say, you know what? I have 10 customers right now that I work with currently, or I've worked with them in the past several, how many months, 3-6 months. So they may be very, very valuable to you and may be ready to ascend to another product or service. And you might just want to create some content just around that. Hey, you know what? I know that you really enjoyed the chiropractic services that I offered. You did 6 sessions already, but there's something that I know your body now. I didn't rub on your back and crack your spine all up. So I have a good idea of what you need. And this program that I have that includes chiropractic services, massage, as well as what's that thing with the big machine? Pilates. A nice little package. Chiropractic, massage, and Pilates. Brian Backcracker could help me solve even more problems and avoid future problems if he got me into that package. So I want you to think about how you can do that.
Well, this is Brandy. Can you
Yep.
go over the subscribe stage again? Just, I'm not on there yet, but I don't feel like I understand it as much as I did the other stages.
Thank you, Brandy, for saying that. That's the question that I wanted, because I know some folks might think, oh, I have to have an email list. No, that's not necessarily the case. The subscribe stage is a way for you to be able to connect with them in the future. So I might become aware. I might engage with you in your video or in your social media, but you have no way to get in contact with me. So subscribe is when I give you my information and give you permission to contact me in the future. That could be with a phone call, it could be an email marketing, whatever information you request of me so that I can get more valuable content from you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Will, there was another question in the chat. How do you
Oh.
go from the engage stage to the convert stage? I have an issue with sealing the deal.
So now you have to understand what that problem is. So let me, yeah, I'll keep this up. Do you want me to keep this on the screen? Everybody, you can shake your head, yes, or
Sure.
Okay, because I kind of wanted to see your faces. Let me see if I can make this bigger. So from engage to convert. So you have to ask yourself a question. Is it a matter of my sales conversions that's having a problem? Is it an offer problem? Like, does my offer not match up with their needs? So if you feel comfortable, if you want to talk about what the breakdown might be, it's up to you if you want to discuss that right now, but consider that. Do they understand do they understand that your solution is the best one for them? Is that clear in their mind? Are they getting it? Do they understand that you're the service provider that can really either help them solve this problem or accomplish this goal? If in your content, you're laying it out so that they can understand it either in whatever content format you develop, they should already know that you're the one that they need to work with. So then if that's the case, then maybe it's a breakdown in the sales conversation. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so, all right, we're gonna move on. We're done with that exercises unless anybody else has any other questions that we wanna, thank you for those questions. That makes it really valuable because someone else might have that question, but didn't ask it, okay? So thank you for that. So now we are going to focus on where. So where do you put this great content that you're creating? Well, consider, again, your audience. You know who your ideal customer is. You know what they need because you understand their problems, their goals, and you already know that you're the best solution for them. Now, you know when to talk to them. You know when to talk to them because we talked about the stages of the customer value journey. Awareness, engage, subscribe, convert, excite, and ascend. Now, where do you talk to them? So think about your audience. Some of you have already alluded to the fact that you have customers, you have, maybe you have an email list. Some of you already said you have a social media following. And of course, many of you likely have websites. Now, that's the where. You know where they hang out. And maybe there's some forums or some, we don't even use forums anymore, do we? Maybe there's some groups in Facebook or LinkedIn where your ideal customer is hanging out. And maybe some of that great content that you're creating, you need to post in there if the group allows, right? But some kind of way, use your warm market. Maybe it's a database of customers and prospects you already have, or even some cold markets that where you know your customers hang out. So that's the where. So think that through. Where are your customers hanging out? Go ahead and put it in the chat. At the chamber, aside from the chamber, where are your customers hanging out? I want to hear from you. Where do you go? Where are they? Where do they need you to show up? Berkeley Bowl, excellent. LinkedIn, vending events. Thanks, Alexander, Connie, Nicole, Lakeisha, Senior Homes. I was really hoping for the chamber. Thanks, Jonathan, Rebecca. Who's Jonathan? Jonathan, do you work for the chamber? Slack channels. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Case workers and social workers. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is great. Discord. Oh, wow. I wonder what that is. Meetups, TaskRabbit. Awesome. Excellent. Excellent. Now, as you type these things in the chat, think about, do these, are these locations, do they allow you to publish content? Because if they don't, you may have to find a way to get them from these platforms that you're mentioning, Discord, Ace Hardware, to your platform, whether it be your website or another way for you to engage with them. So sometimes that might be a problem that you have to solve. I need to get them out of TaskRabbit and into my world. Okay. Let me check the time. Don't let me run over, Beth. So how do you do it? Now we're going to talk about the how when it comes to developing a content strategy, a powerful content strategy that helps you to grow your business. So we are going to dive right into exercise number 3, and we're going to talk about a quick strategy that you can use. So if you are on the Google Doc, go down to exercise number 3, and we are going to talk about how to create a quick strategy. And also, if you feel brave enough to do it, go ahead and put it into the chat. So let's start with ideate. When it comes to creating your powerful content marketing strategy, you need to have some ideas. What type of content do you need to create? Also, what will go into that? Well, we already know what goes into the content. You highlight the problem, you highlight the goal, and how you solve that. And then there's so many other topics that go along with that. For example, let's go back to Brian Backcracker. Brian Backcracker is an expert on the spine itself. So hopefully all of Brian's content isn't just talking about how he can help you to get rid of your low back pain. Hopefully he's talking about how the spine, and it's really the foundation of all that we do, and maybe educate us on how powerful a piece of our anatomy the spine is, and how everything that we do is connected to the spine. All types of different types of content Brian Backcracker can create, so that those in the awareness stage will be like, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. I want to learn more from him. So what ideas do you have about the types of content you can create? And the messages that the ideas for not only the types of content, but the formats that you will put that content in. Will it be a video? Will it be a podcast? Will it be an email newsletter? Will it be a blog post? You know, and I want to say this too. For those of you that are on LinkedIn, or maybe your audience is on YouTube, you can go live on LinkedIn right after this call, and you will be the fastest implementer I ever met. And you say, you know what? I have a problem that I can highlight right now. I'm going live. I'm going to hit the live button on LinkedIn, and my audience is gonna hear about what I have to say to serve them. Now let's go into the development stage in this exercise. What do you need to develop the content pieces for your audience? So that might be maybe you have a website, but you don't write. So maybe you need a writer. And don't think about, try to avoid thinking about roadblocks. Well, I can't afford a writer. Don't worry about that. You can go over to UC Berkeley and get you a intern. They'll write something for you. I mean, there's so many ways to get things done. So what type of content do you need to develop? What resources do you need to get that going? Okay, now how will you publish that content? And how will you promote it? How will you publish it and how will you promote it? So if it's an email newsletter, then that means, or it could just be an email. It doesn't have to be an email newsletter. It could be an email with a message that helps your audience to solve a problem. So if you have been in business for some time and you have past customers and maybe people you have collected contact information from people that were interested at some point, you can always go back and talk to them in an email. And just a quick tip on email marketing. If you have a database of people to talk to, don't feel bad if you haven't talked to them in a long time. Well, I haven't reached out to them in months or maybe even a year. It's okay. Send them a message, say what's up, see what's happening, tell them you got something cool for them, and people will either say thank you or they'll opt out, but they'll be re-engaged just by clicking on opening the email. So I want to throw that out there. So how will you publish the content? How will you promote it? And then
question in the chat, is now a good time for that or no?
I'll get it right
Okay.
after I talk about measurement. Thank you,
Perfect.
Beth. I appreciate it. So now you have the ideas, you figured out how to develop it, you know where you're going to publish it and how you're going to promote it. Then we have to measure, because that is going to prove whether our content marketing strategy, if it's effective or not. If it's effective or not. So what do you measure? Well, what's important to you? Number of leads, number of people clicking on your emails, the amount of website traffic going to your blog post. What are the KPIs or the key performance indicators that you need to track to determine the efficacy of your content marketing strategy? Okay. So ideate, develop, publish and promote, and measure. Now let me go to this question. Thank you. So what is the relationship between knowledge-based content and emotion-based content? I have never heard of emotion-based content, but that doesn't mean anything that I haven't heard of it. So I'm not sure. But I will say knowledge-based content teaches, there are 3 things that you want to do when it comes to, or consider when it comes to creating content. You want to educate, entertain, and inspire. Those are the 3 things that we focus on: education, entertain, and inspire. Entertain is not really our thing so much, but we want to educate and we want to inspire to action. So I'm not sure about that question there. So I apologize that I don't have a better answer for you. Question about content. How important is it to develop and deliver content that is culturally resonant or at least not tone deaf? Okay, Rebecca, let's say this. Now, when you're talking about culturally resonant or not tone deaf, when I think about tone deaf, that makes me think about our customer base. So our customers, we work with large corporations. And the reason they bring us in as a small business, they are looking for our expertise and trying to understand their small business audience, especially when it comes to diverse owned businesses, because a lot of corporations create tone deaf messaging. And so I'll say, Rebecca, If you focus on the problem that your prospect is having and how you solve that problem, or the goals that they have and how you help them to achieve those goals, I mean, you will win. I would be interested to know how big your audience is for you to have to worry about being tone deaf, or actually the type of content that you're creating to be worried about tone deaf. But when it comes to just your strategy, if you are delivering, if you were to start with problem, goal, and the solution that you have, you'll win. And if you haven't gotten in trouble yet for being tone deaf, I wouldn't worry about it. I hope that's helpful, Rebecca. Please let me know if you have a follow-up question in that regard, okay? Bill says sales, okay. Beth, that's your message, okay. Was it, oh, Emmanuel, educate, entertain, inspire. Educate, entertain, inspire. You know who can do some entertaining? Sorry to keep putting you on the spot, Alexander, if you're still here. But Kitchen on Fire, they can do some entertaining. I mean, you enjoy a cooking class at Kitchen on Fire. I'll tell you that. And
You're hired.
I'm just saying, if you showed me that I would enjoy it before I got there, that would be even better. I mean, you probably do. I haven't done a Kitchen on Fire class in probably about 7 years. So, you know, but I will never forget that experience.
Are you signed up for our newsletter?
Nope.
I gotta get you on that.
Hold on, let me make sure I'm not missing any. Beth, this thing is moving pretty fast for me. So if I didn't address any questions, let me know. Nicole says emotional marketing is deliberate. Okay, is there a question in there?
I had a question about potentially tone deaf marketing.
Uh-huh.
You know, all of our posts are around food and recipes and the enjoyment of eating and cooking. And so Monday being MLK Day, I went down a rabbit hole and found out what his favorite foods were. And I thought that'd be interesting. However, it has nothing to do with MLK or his legacy. Is that tone deaf?
Ah, interesting. Man, you know, Alexander, I wish I had an answer for you, man. I wish I did. I just don't. I'll tell you what is tone deaf. Do you all remember when IKEA over in North Carolina got in trouble for that fried chicken? They served fried chicken at lunch for some, it wasn't MLK. It was actually, it was last February. It was Black History Month. And they put on this fried chicken kind of soul food thing, and the world went nuts.
Yeah.
They went nuts.
Guess what MLK's favorite foods were? It's all
It's
soul food. It's all soul food. You know?
I wish I had an answer for you, man.
Yeah.
I wish I had an answer for you.
He likes pickled eggs too, so we'll probably focus on that.
Yeah, that goes to I think that was Rebecca earlier talking about being tone deaf, I think. And it's like, man, it's almost like a gut thing. If I had a feeling in my gut that it might disturb someone, I'm gonna stay away. I'm gonna stay away, or know my audience. So now if you have an audience of people that love MLK as a person and would love to know what his favorite foods are, then you create that content for them. That ain't tone deaf. That's what your audience wants. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Create a quiz. Connie, you want to share more about that? Quizzes are great. I love quizzes. So here we are. We have finished our third exercise. If you completed exercises 1, 2, and 3, you are ready to create your powerful content marketing strategy. If you have answered every question in the workbook or in the exercises. So what did we discuss? We started out talking about why content marketing is so important, all those statistics that we shared, and we talked about who needs it. It's our perfect customer. They need to hear from us. They need to hear from us. And you already know how powerful content is. Think about something, your last few purchases. What did you read, listen to, or watch that motivated you to make that purchase? Content is powerful. We talked about the what. What do our ideal clients need? Well, they have a problem or a goal that they are trying to achieve. And guess what we have? We have the solution to help them to solve those problems and to achieve those goals. When do we talk to them with regards to our content? Well, remember those stages of the customer value journey: the awareness stage, engage, subscribe, convert, excite, ascend. We can develop very specific targeted content for each one of those stages. Awareness is way different from the subscribe stage. Hopefully, when someone joins your email list, you give them something even more powerful than what they saw on your social media channel. And those who have current customers, the content that they need to ascend to the next level of service. Remember that awesome package that Brian Backcracker created for me with the chiropractic services, the Pilates machine, and the massage? I'll take that all day. How can you create something like that for your audience and describe it by using content? So we talked about where to use and distribute our content, and that is in our email list, through our social media, on our website. Get that message out to our warm market, and of course, our cold market will become a warm market. And how do we do it? Remember those steps. We talked about ideate, come up with some ideas for the types of content your customers need, develop what resources do you need to develop that content, publish and promote that content, and then measure its efficacy. Was any of this helpful at all? Okay, all right. Hey, you know what? I will say this: if I ran a chamber, I would create some content I would choose an ideal customer or ideal member and create a lot of content for that ideal member. Because, you might have some corporate members who, they just on autopilot re-up every year. That's their good deed. But then you might have some members like these folks here that are super active, and they're coming to stuff, and they are learning, and they're benefiting from the resources. And that's what the Berkeley Chamber has done. They're creating content like this to help us in our business. How powerful is that? So you're seeing it happen at the Chamber. So that's it, guys. Please, if you have any questions, I'm so happy to stay on until Beth, as long as Beth allows us. And let me know if I can be of support while we still have time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Will. If anyone has any questions, feel free, unmute, put them in chat. This was wonderful. And I know that the Chamber can, use some of these strategies that you've given us today. Just want to let everyone know we will be posting a copy of this recording on our website. We'll send a link off to all of you along with the Google Doc for you to work on that offline. And I hope you'll come back next month in February. Thursday, February 10th at noon, we're going to be doing a deep dive into LinkedIn, activating your business with LinkedIn. So we hope you'll join us for that one.
Nice.
Can you say that date one more time? February what?
Thursday, February 10th at noon. Our boot camp runs the second Thursday of every month at noon. So you can check out more on our website, berkeleychamber.com. Will, thank you so much. Any other questions for Will while we have him, or comments?
Luke has a question.
Go ahead, Luke. Unmute.
Hey, Will, thank you so much for doing this. This has been really helpful.
Oh, thanks for saying that.
Yeah. I guess my question is, business involves various different things. It's not just one thing. It's health coaching. But, I utilize massage. I utilize food, and it's, I guess, I don't want to say esoteric. I'm trying to demystify it. It's Ayurveda comes from India, so not a lot of people are familiar with it. I guess when there are multiple prongs or multiple elements, how would you suggest marketing to something that has more than one facet?
Yes, that's a great question. So here's my suggestion. What do you want your prospect to learn when they are in the awareness stage? That you don't have to answer that now, but that's a question to consider. What do they need to know?
Okay.
How can I help them at this stage? They don't know Ayurvedic. Do they need to know Ayurvedic, or do they need to know that they can have some type of healing?
I think they need to know that have some type of healing through food, through movement, through awareness is really the key, actually. Awareness.
So think about the solution. I'm sorry, think about the problem.
Yeah.
Who needs it? So I can spell Ayurvedic, but I can never remember what it is.
Right.
So who cares? I'm not going to go to a website and say I need some Ayurvedicism. No, that ain't what I want. I want the result.
Right.
So what type of, and this is for you to think about, what are the problems that my customer is having that needs the solution that I have? Or what goals are they trying to reach where I can come in and say, hey, you're after this? These are the steps that you need to take. A lot of people step on the scale and say, oh man, I need to lose weight. I need to exercise. Well, 90% of those folks don't know you need to focus on what's at the end of your fork. Right? we want to eat all the stuff we want to eat, but we want to lose weight, That's how it normally goes. I'm not saying that's what you do, Luke. I'm just saying, as an example, what are they after? What's the end game or the intermediate game that you can help them reach, so that, because they're on a journey with you. They might even buy from you and still not know what Ayurvedic means.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Who cares? Just give them the content that they need. Maybe if you have I don't know, do you need to create visual content like in the video, or do they need audio content like an interview, or do they need an article or something like that? What can help them to solve a problem or accomplish a goal in the quickest way? And possibly for free. If they can do it for free, then they'll want more.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. Appreciate that, everyone. Oh, okay. Well, Alexander got somebody saying congratulations.
My wife's having a baby, so
Oh, man, congratulations.
I'm not gonna make the LinkedIn.
Well,
Congratulations.
it'll be archived on the website.
Okay,
so
thank you. Perfect.
don't worry.
Appreciate you guys.
You can watch it during a late night feeding.
I'll have the time at 3 a.m. Will, thank you. Very helpful.
Oh, man,
Appreciate
you're
you.
welcome. Thank you for coming. Thanks for that connection. It was great. I love seeing that logo. Hey guys, look, if I don't know, if you want to reach out to me, Beth and Andy, they got my contact information. If you had some questions that you didn't want to ask in public, happy to have a discussion or whatever. I'm not selling anything, but just want you guys to be successful if I can be of support in any way. So with that, I'll say bye. It was so great being with you all and meeting you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll make sure to include Will's contact info in our email, and we'll all see you next month. Thanks again.